Okay, we had the new parts come through from the factory. We'll get them on the car ahead of FP1.
Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new video and yet another episode of my F1 2018 career mode. And today we are here for round 9 for the Austrian Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring. Now, if you guys did miss the last episode for the French Grand Prix at Paul Ricard, brand new circuit and a complete unknown, then do check it out in the card in the top right hand corner of your screen, because it was a pretty damn good episode, and I would personally say the most entertaining race I've had so far this season. So do check that one out before you come back to this one. But today we are here for Austria, and as you can see in the background of your screen, the upgrades for the car have been applied for this weekend, and we also have the R&D graph of all the progress that's been made this season. And you have to say, we've been pretty damn good with the R&D upgrades this year, and the car really has come leaps and bounds from Australia and Bahrain, which were the first two races that we did with pretty much a neutral car. And overall, it's becoming a big improvement now, and this car is definitely a solid points contender and regular point scoring car. So I'm very proud of the work, both from myself and also all of the boys in the team and back at the factory, because it's all coming along very nicely. This team now is really improving, and I have to say the battle between myself and Pierre Gasly is closer than ever. Like, we are so close every single weekend. He's faster one weekend, I'm faster the next. He scores more points than me one weekend, and I beat him the next one. It's literally constantly just interchanging and swinging. So it's a really good battle, and one that I'm absolutely relishing and really enjoying. But today, well, like I mentioned, we are here for the Austrian Grand Prix, and it's a track that I actually quite enjoy. It's really fun this year's game, and it's a very simple lap, but one that is very challenging, because if you make any mistake, you're going to lose loads of lap time. Now, we got into the practice programs here this weekend, and straight away, the car felt good. I was very happy. Very nice balance. I run pretty much a default setup because I wanted to have some good speed through the corners, so all I did was change the brake bias and the differential, I believe. So going into this race weekend, I felt confident, and essentially, I've got to say, the practice programs went really well. The only one we didn't get right was the qualifying performance test, because we weren't fast enough.
Okay, super job so far. We're getting great data. Stay focused.
The race strategy and all the other ones were pretty fine, but like I mentioned, the qualifying test, as you can see on the screen right now, we just were not good enough. A little bit scruffy as well, but ultimately, I've tried a couple of times. I wasn't going to match that lap time, and ultimately a lap does get invalidated.
We're down on our target times. Let's try to find a bit more.
However, it's not all doom and gloom, and as you can see on the screen, we had a pretty damn good session, and the points speak for themselves. Now, obviously, we're going to carry this into qualifying, and hopefully we can have a good race weekend, and fingers crossed, we can try and get a good qualifying position. This is a power circuit. However, our engine is doing pretty well at the moment, and we're doing okay. Practice was good, it was encouraging. We finished pretty well in terms of position, and so did Pierre Gasly as well, which is the real sort of measuring stick. So I think we can do something this weekend if we play our cards right. We definitely seem to have some decent pace, and the car's working well. I'm very happy with the setup. I think in the end I made some setup tweaks just for qualifying, and I think eventually I went for 5.5 aero and moved the ballast back to number 7, I believe, and then I ran brake bars on 58% or 60, I can't remember, one of those two settings, and differential on 75 and 100 respectively. So yeah, I don't really do many things for that setup. I normally just change the aero or the ballast, the diff, and the brake bias. But as you can see, we're here now in Saturday qualifying, and everyone's getting ready for their laps. And straight away, we went out in Q1 on the slower super soft compound tyre to get a feel for the racetrack and see if we could maybe get through on this tyre. I fancy my chances. I thought I'd give it a go. Then I quickly realised that we're still not at that stage yet. We go P14, which isn't too bad. However, we have to be realistic here. That was never going to really last, and we dropped down to P16, and we have to go back out on the ultra softs, or really try and find a better lap time and see if we can get ourselves back into the Q2 phase. And the lap was pretty damn good, I've got to say. We got all the lap hooked up, all the sectors nicely done, and you can see on the delta time we was pretty damn quick on this ultra soft compound tyre. Not giving absolutely everything, still keeping some in the tank for Q2, but still a good enough lap. And as you can see, up to the line we go P8, so very good lap there, and we comfortably get ourselves into the second part of qualifying. Eventually we would end up the session in that 8th position, Pierre Gasly in P10. But now I'm going to leave you guys with some very nice audio clips.
All clear the garage, please. Car ready to leave.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Basically an engine fire up which sounded absolutely awesome. The new engine sounds are so cool in this year's game, and I went out in Q2 only with one set of tyres, because I didn't really have that confidence. I didn't want to get into Q3 because you're on the back foot with the strategy here. So I went out and I'm aiming to try and get P11 or P12. If I get Q3, I'll be happy. But even then, I don't think we've got the pace to get Q3. I think the Force Indias have got a lot of straight line speed, and the Renaults as well are going to be hard to beat. So it's going to be a challenge anyway. But I went out for one basically banzai lap in Q2 and just tried my absolute best. And this was my best lap of the session. So we're going to run on board for the entirety of it. It's a pretty good lap. A couple of lockups here and there, but ultimately I was happy with it and ultimately very satisfied. And I think around here you have to play your cards right and you have to know where your strengths and weaknesses lie. And for me, around this track, it hasn't a story of the season so far, and you could argue it's a glitch, but even in this track on F1 2017, doing an extra stop around here is pretty poor, and you are going to lose a lot of time if you're not in a fast car. If I was in a Red Bull, Mercedes or Ferrari, there'd be no problem, but in a midfield car you're going to lose a lot of time. So as you can see, we do go P9 at the time. However, I did go for a second attempt. I messed up my lap, and then eventually we would end up in P12. Luckily though, Pierre Gasly P15. I was very happy with that. We left no time on the table, and it was a very good lap, and we beat our teammate in qualifying, which is always significant. But now we're going to jump into the race, and before that we're going to jump into some interviews.
The fans really seem to enjoy that. You made it look easy.
It looks like you've really been focusing on research and development this season.
It's been a great qualifying session for you. Are you going to carry that momentum into the race? Appreciate your time.
Good afternoon and welcome to Spielberg, and to a circuit that in one form or another has held every Austrian Grand Prix in the championship except the very first back in 1964. It was at this race that John Watson lost a bet and his beard when he took Team Penske's only F1 victory in 1976. If anything, the stakes are even higher today, with 25 points available for victory and a crucial advantage in the championship fight.
Right then, here we are on the grid for round number 9 for the Austrian Grand Prix, and overall, pretty exciting one this one. I'm looking forward to it. I know we've got some good pace in the car, and like I mentioned before, we could have maybe got Q3. Even then it would have been a struggle. I think the margins were close, but it's good to see that we're thereabouts now, and the upgrades are really working for us. Now for this particular race, as you can see on screen with the strategy, once again, just like in Paul Ricard, we're going to start on the slower tyre, which is the soft compound tyre, and then run the super soft. In F1 2017, the one-stopper was super powerful, so I'm hoping for more of the same in this year's game, and fingers crossed we can try and get that track position. Normally in F1 2017, if you run the soft at the start and had a very strong first stint, that would normally set you up for the rest of the race to have a very good ending, so hopefully we can have some of that here today. Fuel-wise, I'm going to modify this. I'm not happy with having such low fuel around the circuit, so we are going to go up to about 37.5 and run a little bit extra fuel, but overall, P12 on the grid, row number 6. All we've got to do is try and aim forward and try and have a good first lap. We probably might go backwards at the start, which has been sort of the tendency this season so far. But if by the end of lap 1 we're inside the top 10 or ahead of P12, then that would be a good result for us and a good first lap. So with that being said, let's get into it, and it's time for the Austrian Grand Prix. Right then, let's get ready for the 5 red lights here for the Austrian Grand Prix. Lights out, and away we go. It's not a bad start. I'm going to cover off the inside into turn 1. Speaking of turn 1, being aggressive, really throwing the car in there. Turn up the ERS and also fuel mixture as well. Let's really max out the straight line speed here. We need to run at full power, at least for the start of the Grand Prix. Now into turn 3, we've got to be careful here. Up the inside of Sainz. Very nice, aggressive overtake into the top 10, getting past Carlos and also I believe them up in a Force India.
Okay, that's a good start. Keep it up.
But yep, very good start indeed here. And we've got ourselves in the top 10 on the soft compound tyres, which is good news. Whether our race pace is good enough on this tyre, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, if it's like Paul Ricard, then this promises to be a very decent race for us. So I'm just going to try and get my head down and try and get this tyre up to temperature and see if we can keep up with the big boys here. Well, big boys, I mean, the cars in front of us. At the moment, it does seem like Perez in that Force India is struggling here. Also, I'm having to run some hot lap mode here because Sainz is looking very racy, and Perez has got a problem. I think he's got a throwing damage. He's coming to the pit lane, I think, and yeah, he does. So we're now up into 9th place. A little bit of understeer kicking in there on the exit, but we're now P9 behind Kevin Magnussen here, so good start. Let's try and get a head down and try and keep up with the race pace. Realistically speaking, it's going to be a real challenge to keep up with Magnussen here. Both
DRS
him...
is now enabled and will be available to use when you are within 1 second of the car ahead in the DRS zone.
Both him and Sainz both have ultra softs on the car, so that's going to make it pretty damn challenging for me. So we're just going to have to try and fight for as long as we can and roll with the punches, I think. Got to say, we're doing a good job though keeping up with Magnussen. ERS deployment is actually pretty good. We're not using that much ERS, so I can actually run the higher modes, and that way stay ahead of Sainz, who is definitely a bit quicker than myself, and also Kevin Magnussen. We have got the exit here. I'm running in overtake mode. I'm not going to go hot lap because I've got some suggestions in the comments saying overtake is specific for overtaking, and I can see why as we make the move on K-Mag there. That worked out to perfection for me. For some reason though, we're not going to have the benefit on this second DRS straight, but it's okay. We've got enough in the tank, I think, to stay ahead for now. Really, there's no need, going back to what I was saying, there's no need for hot lap in ERS. I've realised that's only really good for acceleration, i.e. qualifying purposes. For race, you really want overtake, which will actually give you more top end speed and comes into effect in the higher gears. So that's what we're going to be looking at here today and experimenting with. Right, personal best in clean air.
The distance to the leader is 7.3 seconds.
Good pace, and we're actually pulling away from Magnussen here. I'm now going to use some rich mixed. I'm going to alternate so I can save battery and fuel depending on what I need to do. Got to say, the car is absolutely fantastic at the moment to drive. It's a real joy to drive this car. We are pulling away from Magnussen. We're now out of his DRS. I'm tempted for the move on Hulkenberg, but I'm going to hold back and try and get him out of turn 1. He's had a poor run, and we're going to open up the DRS here. Hot overtake mode. I'm not going to use hot lap, and look at this, we just power past the Renault. The Honda power unit now much more improved, and we can actually compete in a straight line. We've got the Rebels there in front of us who are actually going to battle as we run a little bit deep into turn 3, but we are going to get the exit. And there we go, P7 on soft compound tyres on a one stop. Gasly's at the end of this train, so he's got good pace as well. This is looking very promising for us so far around a track where I thought engine power would be key, but it seems that we've now got our engine right up to spec. And look at the minimap, the big boys aren't really that far away here so far. This is going to be a very interesting race if everything goes according to plan and there's no safety cars. Couldn't agree more. We're doing really well here. The Renaults are definitely pretty quick. Another personal best. Hulkenberg though is hanging on DRS. And by the way, we are catching this top 5. You can see him visually into turn 3. We are catching these guys. I can't believe I'm saying that. Gotta say, Hulkenberg's really found some good pace. He's making those ultras go quite long in the race, and he's still matching me. To be fair, my softs aren't exactly pristine anymore, and they've lost that edge, but we're still running at a strong pace, only a 10th off the personal best, and we're catching the top 6 here, which I cannot believe I'm saying. It's incredible so far. Also, I think it's worth pointing out, this power unit isn't exactly fresh. You can see on screen, right there, everything is above 40 or 50, so it's all pretty knackered, and the car is still performing to a top level. I'm so happy and impressed. The upgrades have been really good on the car. There you can see the tyre wear. Tyres are starting to get a little bit second hand now, and this one stopper is starting to look a little bit long because we're going to have to at least get to lap 20. So
okay, gap ahead is 2.4 seconds.
Lap 20, or I'd even say maybe 19 or 18 if we have to push it, but we're going to have to really manage the tyres now. Right, more cars are going to come in here, so we're going to gain a few more places. Ricardo's in, and it seems like it's just the Red Bulls who are coming in, so they're going to be at least on a 2-stopper. Hulkenberg's coming as well, so purple final sector. We've got a little bit of clean air to push, so I'm going to try and do that whilst also not murdering my tyres. It's important that we keep the tyres in the zone as I extend turn 1 there a little bit, even though I thought I was just about within the limits. I might burn off a little bit of this extra fuel. I'm going to keep my eye on things though. Oh, yellow flag, and someone's just blown up. Raikkonen has just blown up in front of us here. I think it's an engine failure, I can't tell, or potentially tyre. We have to avoid him, evasive action needed. That's going to cost me a couple of tenths to a second. But Raikkonen is out of the race here at Austria, and we're now into 3rd place for a podium position. This race is unfolding beautifully for me here. Bottas comes in. I've just cranked up the full engine beans because I lost about 8 tenths because of Raikkonen, so purple final sector, we've responded. I'm going to keep it in the high engine mode, at least for sector 1, to make up for that lost time.
Vettel is stopping now.
Understood. Sebastian in the pit lane. So we're going to momentarily...
Okay, gap behind is 10.6 seconds.
Momentarily lead Austrian Grand Prix. Another strong lap. They're only a 10th off my personal best. We're scheduled to pit lap 20. Tyre wear is high. I would say. You know, high enough to the point where it's a little bit concerning, but I reckon now I'm in the lead, I can control the pace. I'm not going to change the engine mixtures. I want to try and focus on driving smooth now. I might drop a little bit of lap time, but it's all about now keeping the tyres and making the one-stop work, because we're in a prime position to score some good points this race.
Teammate by 18.8 seconds.
I'm basically dipping into the rich mix on the straights, and I'm trying to drive as smooth as I can now into every single corner, and try not to turn in too aggressively. Also easy on the power inputs, make sure we make no corrections whatsoever, and try and be nice and easy on the throttle. We're dropping a little bit of lap time, but hopefully it's worth it.
Right, our current set of rubber is looking a bit worse for wear at this point. It's not going to be long before it falls away from us completely. Stay alert.
Right, there's the first warning. Tyres might fade.
Green flag.
Not the best thing to hear, but so far, I've got to say, they still feel fine. I refuse to look at the wear now, because I'm just going to take a nasty surprise and it might affect my driving, like a psychological thing. I still feel good in these tyres, so we got 2 more laps, this lap and 1 more. Let's just focus on our driving here. I'm being very smooth on the tyres and very, very easy on them. Right then, here we go on to lap 20, that yellow flag.
This lap. Push hard on the in-lap.
That yellow flag is for Alonso, who's 3 laps down now. He's had a puncture recurring, so he's trying to limp back to the pit lane, but he's pretty much miles away. You can see my tyre wear left rear on 60%. That is a concern, but temperatures are still nicely in the window here, so...
Gap to teammate behind is 27.7 seconds.
I have a little bit higher tyre wear than the AI, but I'm making it work, so I think we've survived. I think we've managed to get through this tyre phase, and for once, I've actually been able to control and manage my tyres, which is something you can do in this game. Right then.
Box now, please. Box this lap.
Yep, I'm on my way. Here we go into the pit lane. Saving ERS and a little bit of fuel if possible. Use up what's left of these tyres on the entry. Try and be aggressive using the track limits. Slow it down. There we go. Beautiful. That was a nice and efficient pit entry. Probably slowed down a little bit too much for the pit entry. I went down to 60 instead of 80. I forgot this about the speedless pit lane, but here we go onto the jack. Nice quick stop, 2.4. Lovely stuff. Good job from the team. That is a nice solid stop there. Right then, let's get up to speed. We are P4.
Complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
That is amazing. We are P4. We're going to rejoin ahead of Max Verstappen, who's coming up to turn 1 now, and we're on the same tyres as him. So phenomenal stuff from the team. 4th place in the Austrian Grand Prix. This is looking good here. Let's try and do a fast lap of the Grand Prix. Is that possible in a Toro Rosso? Let's find out. Right then, we are cracking on with this. We are pushing hard. 107.4, another fastest final sector, and we've left Verstappen for dead here. Can we get a podium? We're only 5 seconds adrift, and Bottas, Hamilton and Vettel are all battling up front. They're into turn 3 right now. Another personal best, fastest final sector yet again. I'm not really closing the gap though to the front 3. However, I am really pulling away. Oh dear, I'm really pulling away from Verstappen, leaving him for dead. So this is very good. I'm trying to use up the battery intelligently, and then once I've used it up, I'm going to switch to the rich mix and keep changing basically. I've been using some rich mix now in that last lap, trying to save some battery.
First place is 7.0 seconds.
Oh, yellow flag. And Bottas has gone for a spin. We're on for a podium. P3 in the race. I wonder if Vettel and Bottas had contact. We're into the podium positions here with 10 laps to go.
Gap to car in front is 4.3 seconds.
Tyre was looking good so far. I'm quite happy with it. We're on course here. This is looking very good. Myself and Sebastian right now are absolutely identical pace. I'm not going to chase him down because it's going to be pretty hard and near impossible.
But be aware your tyres need to go the distance.
Exactly. I'm thinking about just accosting everything, so I've been running in standard and medium for quite a few laps now, and I've just been running smoothly, trying to keep everything running nice, because Bottas is not going to attack me this race. We're on for this podium guaranteed, so I'm sort of thinking about the long game here and just bringing home this podium, to be honest.
Yellow flag.
Another yellow flag. Surely not Sebastian Vettel. Oh my god, it is. Vettel's out of the race as well in the other Ferrari. A Ferrari double DNF, and we've been served a second place on a silver platter. Oh my days. Right, well, I'm turning the engine down. We're saving the engine now. We are more than comfortably in second place. A Ferrari double DNF. Oh my god, I cannot believe it. I'm actually starstruck. Oh my god, second place. At the end of the day, that is, that's what happens. Engines do break, and you have to be wise with your engines. I took a penalty in Baku because I just had to. If you look at my engine now, you can see the control electronics and the MGUK are pretty damn knackered.
There's 3 laps of fuel remaining.
You want the control electronics to be fresh, because if your control electronics is worn out and hurting, it's going to wear out the rest of your components even more. So we'll be sticking a fresh one on for the next race pretty much. But yeah, I cannot believe that. Well then, we've been gifted a podium here today. More importantly, we've been gifted a second place. It's amazing how myself and Pierre keep exchanging positions, and each race one is better than the other. Last race Pierre had me on pace, and he got P4, our best result of the season. But now, one race later, I get second place and my first ever podium.
Thank you for all your hard work out there. That was a strong drive and a good finish. Well done.
And here are our podium drivers today after that excellent race. They've excelled here, as they so often do, and it's a well-deserved victory. Mercedes, then, are on top today.
Right then, looking at the final race results, Hamilton wins the Austrian Grand Prix. We come home in second place, our first ever podium, and the one-stop strategy, like I mentioned, coming in key for us, ultimately paying dividends after starting from 12th place on the grid. And to be fair, we had one of the fastest laps of the race as well, in the top 5 fastest laps pretty much, I think. So we had that pace on merit, and we was quick around here, and I think that also goes down and credit to the engine department, who really done really well. So I'll be mentioning those guys in the post-race interview. But the car is really starting to feel good to drive now. Much better than Australia and Bahrain. And we've put in a lot of work to get it to this point. We're only the 5th or 6th best team, but compared to where it was, it's just a solid midfield car now that you can really have a good race with. Like Pierre proved in the last race, getting P4 in France, and we getting P2 here today. And ultimately, what a result for us. Gazzy, speaking of which, getting P9 in the points yet again. And in terms of the standings, you can see Hamilton leads the way by 20 points, extends his championship lead. He'll be loving the fact that Raikkonen and Vettel both DNF'd, and Bottas had that crash, so he'll be smiling under that helmet, I'm pretty sure of it. We remain in P7, but a massive, jump in terms of solidifying that best of the rest position. And Pierre Gasly actually drops down a couple of places to P10, but still 2 Toro Rossos in the top 10. And in the constructors, we are still best of the rest, and we are actually putting some distance between ourselves and the rest of the teams, as we're now 25-ish points ahead of Force India there for P4. So overall, very good episode, guys. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think it's now time to put more upgrades on this Toro Rosso and make this car even better still.
Amazing performance out there. You must be really happy. You really looked in control of your car out there. Your team must be thrilled. Did you struggle to get through all that traffic today? It looks like you've invested heavily in the development of new parts. Everything went your way today. It looked like you had a really good strategy for the race. Great! Well, that's everything.
Right, we have 1,100 points to spend, so I think it's only fair we invest in some reliability. So, unlike in the last episode, we are actually able to afford it, so we're going to go for an MGUH upgrade, and we're also going to get a turbocharger upgrade as well to improve reliability there. And that's going to leave us with 61 points, a double reliability upgrade for the next episode. For the next race, as you can see here, we have, sorry, not for the next race, for the one after in Germany, we do have an ERS upgrade, which will hopefully help us out. But for the next one, it's just going to be a double reliability upgrade. So we're going to Silverstone with the exact same car that we drove today, which is more than fine because the car was absolutely magnificent. So, yeah, guys, hopefully you have enjoyed the video. If you have, then please do drop a like, and also do get subscribed for daily Formula 1 content. Turn on notifications to not miss a single upload from me, and also finally check out these 2 videos on screen if you have missed them. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching. That's my next video very soon. Goodbye.